Hello everyone, my name is Chris Califf. Welcome to MIS 320. I just wanted to make a brief welcome video to get you all acquainted with the class briefly before you start to do your discussion post, your lab work, and everything else required by the class. So this video won't take too long, so come along for the ride. The agenda for today is just an overview of what MIS 320 actually is. It's based in two different uh, types of class basically. It's kind of got a lecture component and a lab component. So I'll tell you a little bit more about what you're going to do in those things. Um, and then I'll tell you a little bit about Data Camp. So Data Camp will be your course textbook for the lecture conceptual material, and it'll be the hands-on lab work that you'll actually do. And then just a little short activity to get you thinking like a data analyst, because I'm going to talk a lot about data in this class. We'll talk about AI and machine learning and everything, but data will be kind of the core component in a lot of these technologies that we'll discuss. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of introduce myself a little bit more with my Spotify Wrapped and ask a couple questions that maybe a data analyst would ask. So I'll show you that at the end. So something to look forward to. So this is me. Again, Chris Califf, pronounced Califf if you're interested. Here's my email address. Here's my link to my faculty profile at Western. I live in Bellingham. I've lived in Bellingham for the last 10 years. I've been at Western since 2015. I really like it here. I have a wife and a couple kids. So also I am on campus, so I know a lot of you are in Bellingham. So if you actually want to meet in person, I'm here to meet with you. I will be in my office. I will be on campus. I do live in town. Um, for the others, if you're not here, I'm also happy to Zoom with you if you want to meet over via Zoom. If you have any questions about that that we can't resolve over email, just know that I am here to help. Also, I will be teaching the lecture component, and there's also a lab professor named Jennifer Long. She also lives in Bellingham. She is here to help and meet with you as well. Here's her email address. She also lives in Bellingham too, and we are again here to help you. Even though this is an asynchronous course, definitely email us. Try to meet with us if you want. Um, we don't want you to just kind of be floating out there by yourself. We are here. So the course in the lecture, we're going to talk about basically the goal is to how to thrive in and kind of manage this transition into the digital age. We're kind of at the beginning of, kind of a new digital age, basically, where a lot of these technologies that we'll discuss in class are kind of coming together, like cloud, machine learning. Everyone, talks about AI all the time. Um, Data at the core of that, cybersecurity. Um, a lot of this foundational stuff is really there for us to really enter that digital age. And these topics that you'll need to know kind of in your future, we'll talk and try to dissect a lot of those. So, also, my goal is to kind of help you build a technological foundation for actually working in and succeeding in the digital age. So, this is a lot of your only technology class. So, we'll kind of dissect a lot of different topics that you may have heard about um, and set up more of a foundational knowledge of technology that hopefully you'll be able to take with you into your careers. So it's something I kind of call techno literacy. So I really want you to become, literate in various aspects of technology, basically. So here's kind of a definition that I came up with. The knowledge and skills required to understand, evaluate, and efficiently use modern technological systems and concepts. So in this class, we will talk a lot about these topics. Data is kind of at the core of everything. So we'll go over data, what is data, something called data literacy. We'll talk about cloud computing, what is cloud. We'll dissect different types of machine learning and AI um, and discuss those as well. We'll also talk about information architecture and how that goes along with cloud computing, how to kind of set up a modern data system. And then we'll conclude with cybersecurity and the Internet of Things. So a lot of really relevant topics nowadays. So hopefully you enjoy. Again, techno literacy is kind of the core of the class. Um, so we'll talk about, again, as I just said, data literacy. My goal here is to help you learn to think like a data analyst. Hopefully you understand how to comprehend, analyze, and interpret data. Um, we'll also discuss kind of a foundational knowledge of AI and machine learning. We'll talk about, classical machine learning, deep learning, things like that, supervised and unsupervised learnings, neural networks, and we'll also talk about a lot of ethics around machine learning. And then we'll get into cloud computing. So, kind of a familiarity with cloud computing principles, platforms like AWS, Amazon Web Services. And then to go along with that, the information and data architecture needed to really set up cloud computing and need to set up kind of machine learning in the cloud. Um, Cloud is kind of like the foundational technology you need for a lot of this stuff to succeed. That wasn't really around, 15 years ago. And it's really only been in the last decade that we have this kind of foundation of cloud. Now we can collect a lot of data, we can analyze a lot of data with a lot of data analytics tools, and now we have access to a lot of new types of machine learning tools that are pretty easy or straightforward to use. And then, as I said in the last slide, we'll conclude with cybersecurity topics, kind of standards around cybersecurity, and then discuss a little bit of Internet of Things. So, why am I talking about these things? Why do I think you need these things? So, if you look at these different stats, most of you, as you go into your careers, are going to be working with data in some form or another. Whether my wife is a teacher and she works with data all the time. It's student data, analyzing data in Excel. So it's not just for MIS people at all. It is data. There's data everywhere. Marketing, finance, accounting, whatever. So here's a stat: 91% of companies report that data-driven decision making is essential to their success. Most companies nowadays really see data as a valuable tool, and the ability to recognize that and analyze data and use a lot of these tools is kind of becoming more and more critical to in your career, basically. So jobs requiring data literacy, such as data analysts and business intelligence specialists, are projected to grow by 25% by 2030. So a lot of growth in this area. There's too much data out there. We don't really know what we're doing with data, so we have to have people that know what they're doing. And a lot of times, the people that know what they're doing are MIS majors who kind of have this foundation in data. Um, so we'll talk a lot about data, data literacy, AI, that type of thing. Employees who understand how to interpret and use data earn on average 10 to 20% more than their peers. So it's actually really a good thing to have on your resume. Kind of hard skills and soft skills will get you pretty far. And it's not just MIS majors, as I said before, data and AI skills are not limited. They're really relevant in all various aspects of business, even just outside purely kind of business organizations like healthcare or education, and even in the arts, AI and data are becoming kind of a necessary tool set to have, or the ability to analyze data, not just data. Interpret the ability to interpret and analyze data to make decisions, basically. And then again, as you're probably already aware, there's a rapid growth of AI. So the AI industry is expected to grow, this stat says 1.8 trillion by 2030. So it's kind of, this is in the next 5 years, we're going to see a lot of jobs kind of changing how they are or how things work with AI. Maybe not replacing people, but we're using machine learning tools to kind of alter what the current job descriptions are. Um, 50% of companies are already implementing AI in some form, so it's kind of good to be at the forefront of this and know what to expect. And then in the future, there's always stats around this stuff. So this one is 85 million jobs may be displaced by automation, but people are projecting that a lot more jobs will actually emerge from implementing things like AI and analytics and that type of thing. So, being able to use AI and understand data and analytics and that type of thing is not going to be bad for the future. And then, that's more of conceptual. So we'll talk a lot about that stuff conceptually as well. And then I also want you to gain some hands-on knowledge with analyzing data. So we're using something called Data Camp, which if you check Canvas, you should see a link in the announcement or on the first lab assignment. So there's a lot of data out there. So we'll do a lot with data in Data Camp for the lab, kind of the hands-on stuff. So you do some data analysis in Excel, also some data visualization and analytic skills in Excel. You'll learn a little bit about SQL, which is the structured query language, just kind of a foundational knowledge about that. Learn about relational databases, so kind of how data is stored, not only in Excel, but through different ways. You'll also learn about information architecture concepts. I forgot to put that in here, but it's also like how data is set up to be used by machine learning or data analysts. You'll also learn some machine learning skills and some cloud skills. So you'll learn a little bit about Amazon Web Services concepts, which a lot of people kind of go into the cloud computing space too, because cloud basically powers everything behind the scenes. So also the lab professor will help you um, answer questions related to lab. I'm talking a little bit about lab here, but the lab professor is really the one in charge of the lab, and Jennifer, will help you answer questions about lab assignments, and everything like that. So once you get started with DataCamp, once you get signed up with DataCamp, um, basically just start your lab assignments, and then you can contact her if you have any questions. The textbook, everything is free. DataCamp is your lecture and your lab textbook. It's kind of an online platform, but there's also a lot of conceptual material on there too. So I've basically designed the class around DataCamp so that you can get conceptual material from there, also hands-on material from there, and also conceptual material from the lecture videos. So I basically put my own spin on the DataCamp content that you're kind of required to do. Um, so the DataCamp stuff for lecture is basically like reading your textbook, only it's kind of an in an online platform. And then for lab, you'll do more of the hands-on activities in DataCamp. So I hope that makes sense. And I already talked about this kind of stuff. So the hands-on stuff will involve Excel, Amazon Web Services, SQL, that type of thing. Um, and then again, the link to DataCamp, please check the syllabus and the welcome announcement. This is supposed to be a check. Sorry. um, Again, the DataCamp has lecture and lab content. I think you'll mostly use it for lab, but if you're doing your lecture readings, so I'll kind of assign you a DataCamp concept every week for your discussion posts. That'll kind of go along with my video lectures. Uh, it's not required, of course. I can't force you to sit down and read this stuff, but it's a good idea, before doing the posts and before taking the exams to read the conceptual material on DataCamp. Just remember when you log in first with DataCamp, please log in with your Western email. So when you see the link, please use your Western email because it's only free for academic institutions. So you need that www email there. Okay. Um, Also, I may give some additional readings for the lecture, so just check everything in the discussion posts. That's where the videos will be and your assignments for the lecture, basically. And you'll also have a separate lab assignment each week, which I'll talk about in a second. So overall, the course structure, so what to do and what to do from now. So every Wednesday, basically you'll have a discussion post related to the lecture topic. So I'll give you a couple readings, and then you need to make your discussion post by Wednesday night. So please make sure to watch the video and do the DataCamp readings before you do your discussion posts. So basically the DataCamp content will drive the course, but I'll also put my own spin on the DataCamp material so you can watch the lecture as well to get kind of a different take on everything. I also review some of the DataCamp stuff in the lecture. Um, so just remember to do your discussion posts on Wednesday by 11:59 p.m. and watch the videos and read everything before making the discussion posts. And then on Fridays, all lab assignments will be due. So basically, you have everything due on Wednesday for lecture, and then the lab stuff is due on Friday. Jennifer will hold office hours. She'll send you more information about what to expect with lab and the office hours around lab. So if you are doing the lab, she should be on Zoom at a certain time on a certain day. So maybe you could design, your schedule around that so you do the labs when she is available. Um, I don't think you should need the labs or need help, most of the time. Data camp, I think, is pretty straightforward once you get used to it, but it's nice to always have someone available. So, and also if we aren't on Zoom, you can always email us and everything like that. So, um, yeah, so remember Wednesdays and Fridays. So overall, you have your weekly discussion posts. You'll also have exams in the class. So I'll give you 3 exams. The exams will be multiple choice and essay format. Um, you absolutely cannot use AI on the exams. If you do, you will get a 0, and that 0 will count on your final grade. And then I'll have to write you up, and I don't really want to do that. So please, I'll remind you of all this stuff later too. So check the syllabus for the exact dates for exams. And I do drop one exam. So most students basically take exam 1 and exam 2, and then I'll drop exam 3 so you won't have to take your final. But if you totally don't do well on exam 1, then you can always take exam 2 and exam 3, and that will eliminate exam 1. So I just take the highest 2 exams. Um, and also each Friday, I forgot to mention this in the previous slide, you have your lab assignment due, but you'll also have a lab quiz associated with that lab assignment, and that will also be due each Friday. So basically the structure is you do your lab assignment first, and then you'll have a quiz associated with that content. Office hours, my office hours on campus are Mondays and Wednesdays, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. If those don't work for you, I am available on other days. So I can meet you on Zoom or just email me. We can set up a time to meet. If you're on campus, I'm happy to meet you in Parks Hall in my office. If not, we can meet over Zoom. So just let me know if those don't work. And again, if you're in Paulsbo, I'm happy to meet on Zoom whenever. Um, I just want you all to succeed. That's basically my goal here. And then lab, Jennifer will also hold office hours, so please check Canvas for those. So what to do now? Um, if you're reading this on the first week, which hopefully you are, just read the welcome message, familiarize yourself with Canvas and the syllabus, just basically class overall, and also try to sign up for DataCamp. If you have trouble, please let us know. And then there is stuff due next week. There's nothing due this week, so you can just kind of get acclimated. So next week, your first lecture discussion post is due. I forgot to add on here that also you have an introduce yourself discussion post, so please do that as well. And then next Friday, your first lab assignment and lab quiz are due. So please go ahead and get started with DataCamp, and these aren't due till next week. So the second week of April, basically. So you have plenty of time to get started, and everything is free. So make sure you get set up with DataCamp. Once you get set up, then you can start to do the lab work, and then you can watch some of the lecture videos and do your discussion posts, and you should be good to go from there. So I thought it would be fun just to kind of do a little activity. So something that I want you to really think about when you see stuff like, the Spotify Wrapped or anything really with data. Try to imagine like how a data analyst actually came up with these types of numbers and these top artists, top songs, minutes listened, things like that. So if you look here, I have five top artists of 2024. I have five top songs, and then I have minutes listened. So just kind of think about like what you could really do with a lot of this data. So if you don't have Spotify, it is a music streaming service. So I streamed a lot of Green Day, which is kind of a 90s, early 2000s pop punk band. A lot of Smashing Pumpkins. Green Day and Smashing Pumpkins actually had a show together in the fall of 2024. So I listened to them a lot because I went. And then also one of my favorites is Sublime, Incubus, and then Kristen Bell, who is Anna Frozen. Remember, I have a kid. I have a 4.5-year-old daughter, and she loves Frozen. So if you go to the actual top songs, somehow she found out about the Spice Girls "Wannabe" song. So if you haven't heard that, go ahead and listen to it. It's pretty catchy. A song from my youth, basically. So she wanted to stream that over and over and over and over and over, and that was eventually ended up being my top song. This one is from Frozen. Some Things Never Change from Frozen 2. My daughter also loves the B-52s song called Rock Lobster. It's a really fun song, actually. I played it for her when she was 2. She continuously wants to hear it, so it becomes my third. Into the Unknown is a Frozen song, Frozen 2, and When I'm Older is also from Frozen 2. She was very into Frozen 2 in 2024. So you can kind of think about like, the top artists. I listen to a lot of stuff on my own, but you can also kind of tell that I have kids and kind of my influence on my kid, her influence on me, as I should say, is really relevant in the top songs. So if you really thought like a data analyst, what could you really do with this information? You have a guy listening to a lot of stuff that, I listened to in my youth. I also have, kind of a top artist here and songs from Frozen. So obviously I have a child and, the wannabe, I don't know if they would know that that's influenced by my daughter, but it is. It's kind of a fun thing. So a lot of these things are, you know, myself and kids. So you can kind of come up with different profiles and playlists and suggestions for songs based on that. Um, so here's some questions I thought. You don't have to answer these, but I just want you to kind of consider them. It's kind of a preview for class. We're going to talk a lot about data, as I said. Hopefully, you'll begin to kind of think like a data analyst, understand how kind of the structure of technology actually works to give you stuff like this, to actually analyze the data and make sense and kind of give it to the consumer. So stuff you might actually ask as a data, kind of being data critical here. When was the actual data collection period here? So it'd be interesting to know like when it started, when it ended, that type of thing. How are the actual rankings calculated? How are the top songs calculated? Is it just 1 second into the song? Is it 1 minute into the song? Um, Same with the artist, that type of thing. So what does total listening time actually mean? Does that include podcasts? Um, is it every single second of listening to every single thing? I don't know. Is there a rule that actually qualifies what it means to listen to something? So it says minutes listened here. So I think a lot of you will agree that you kind of put on music in the background. And does that really qualify you as listening to the music? I'm not sure about that. So something to consider. And what happens behind the scenes? How is machine learning involved? What's really the architecture behind the scenes that can kind of give you this stuff? Um, and there are millions, of listeners on Spotify, hundreds of millions of people listening all the time. I think they have like, hundreds of millions of maybe not a billion pieces of data every day. So what's really going on behind the scenes that allows them, like the architecture, the design that allows this company to give every single individual user every million, millions and millions and millions of users this exact kind of data and kind of a personalized experience. So it's kind of interesting. I think this is often used as a marketing example, but I really want you to think about the behind the scenes and the data and all the labor and jobs that actually go into building the system so that it can feed you the data rather than, market Spotify to you. Gives you this picture of Green Day, gives you, the actual number of minutes, and there's a lot more data here too that it gives you, right? It's not, this is just that the last kind of slide that it gives you. But you don't have to answer these. You can discuss them in the discussion post if you want to. That's fine with me. But stuff, something to consider, kind of a preview for class. Um, so this isn't really necessarily. Try to maybe answer them in your head. If you wanted to visit this website, it actually tells you a lot more about what goes on, how this stuff is built, what answers some of these questions. And then there's a quiz on there that's kind of interesting that you might have fun with. So is my music taste basic? Um, which, you can kind of post your results in the introduction post if you want to. That would be funny. So, are you basic? Am I basic? I'm not sure. I forgot what my results were. Um, I think it was like 90s person trying to be cool or something like that. But it's kind of a fun test. So if you wanted to share that in your introduction post or even talk about your Spotify Wrapped, that's fine with me. Okay, so that's all I have for the welcome video. So again, welcome to MIS 320. Please email me or Jennifer if you have any questions. Don't hesitate to email. Just send the email. It's fine. Don't think we're too busy because we are here to help you. So go ahead and email me if you have any questions. And if again, if you want to meet in person, I do have office hours. I am in Bellingham. If not, send me a Zoom link and we can meet over Zoom. We just want to help you succeed. So I'll draw a little, you know, old school smiley face here. So I want you to succeed. I want you to get 100. You just kind of have to put in the work, and I also want you to put in the work too. So yeah, hopefully you have a good quarter. And please watch the lecture videos. Get started with DataCamp. This is a tongue, by the way. Anyway, if you, yeah, just send me an email and it should be good. The quarter should be, you know, off to a good start. Let me know if you have any questions and see you in the next lecture video.